Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Billy AZ Prospector channel, also known as the Prospector's Vault going forward here. Today we're diving into this world of Peruvian pyrites. This rich history in ancient cultures, basically how this product is mined, how it's used today. So we're going to head into the mountains of Peru and uncover some golden secrets that are within these mountains. A lot of folks know of it, of the Inca tribe that was up into the high mountains of Peru. But this is coming down from some of the mines that were back up in there. First off, exactly what is this pyrite? Often referred to as fool's gold because of its shiny metallic look. It often fooled the white men back in the day on their mad search for gold, also known as the element AU. So I wanted to just kind of go over, I got this directly from the mine. I am going to be selling these items, and I wanted to open these with you guys, kind of check these out. So each of these pieces are individually wrapped. So first off, before we really get into it, what exactly is pyrite, right? It's known as fool's gold because of its shiny metallic-like look of gold itself, but it's an iron sulfide mineral. It's often formed in cubical or octahedral crystals, naturally formed, which is popular with a lot of collectors and jewelers, but it's also used in industries for sulfur and acid production. That's a predominant use for it. So here we have a really nice specimen. We've got the quartz, and there's your standard typical cubic formations of pyrite. So a really nice piece. There you can see it in the host rock. Typically you find it in these small little veins, but once it actually forms in natural formations, you get these types of designs here. Nice little cluster here. So I'm just going to kind of get into this, guys, and kind of go right into it. You can kind of see what each of these pieces are bringing. So again, the industry is typically used for a lot of, I guess the industry that it's used in is, your sulfur and acid production, different use cases. But let's get into like the ancient Inca artifacts, early mining tools type stuff. Here's a really nice piece here. Nice cubic form, really nice piece from a collector standpoint. If you're interested in any of these, obviously you get your timestamp for when during the unboxing. Let me know directly. You can hit me up on Instagram at Prospector's Vault, or you can just message me right here in the video if you're interested. We can get synced up. But Peru's relationship with pyrite goes way back. Even before the Spanish arrived into the area looking, again, what did the Spaniards go there for? They were looking for treasure. They were looking for gold. They were looking for silver. So it even goes back. So the Incan civilization polished, they would polish this stuff and actually use this stuff for mirrors way back in the day. Then you get into some of their theories and thoughts, so you can see how it's, naturally formed like this, but they would polish this up, essentially rubbing the two stones together, or different hardness of stones to get this to polish up, and some of it naturally is reflective enough that you could use it as a mirror just as is. They'd use it in different ceremonies. They weren't just pretty decorations that they hung around in their jewelry, or inside of where they lived at. You fast forward, then you see these sacred objects sometimes using different what they would call like shaman or modern day witches, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, the visions that connect to oftentimes they would think that this connected them to a spirit world. The Incans were very superstitious, and I don't know that they were fully educated on all this, but that's kind of what they thought. You fast forward, like I said, to the colonial era, and the European settlers started tapping into Peru's rich mineral veins. And their main focus, again, was the gold and silver, but pyrite was often tossed aside until modern science found new ways to use this material. This one's kind of unique. So you've got, this is your octahedral formation, and then you've actually got some formations of galena on there. So that's a really nice specimen right there. But look at how reflective that is. You can almost, like I said, you can almost make a mirror out of that right there, just as is in the natural form. We get into modern day mining. So, you know, here I'll throw up some pictures real quick, some footage of some mining equipment, some Peruvian miners, modern pyrite pieces. But today, Peru is still one of the leading sources of high quality pyrite crystals. Hence is, you know, why I got this stuff right here. In any of the mineral collections, you'll find nice pyrites, but Peru is where it's at. Like I said, leading sources for high. There's another octahedral. Really nice piece. Got your quartz, you know, a little bit of galena on the back end, but these are really, really nice pieces. But, you know, again, going back to the high quality of pyrites, especially from Peru, you know, most of it comes from the Huanzuala mine in Ancash region. It's famous for producing some of the most spectacular cubic pyrite crystals essentially in the world, guys. So, you know, if you're looking for something to add to your collection, and, you know, these aren't, you know, priced too terribly bad. You know, these really nice pieces here are gonna, you know, fetch a little bit more. But these larger cluster pieces, oh, here's a nice one. Here's a nice cubic. That's a big cubic formation. All that is natural. Would have broke right off the wall, essentially, right, just like that. Oftentimes this is, you know, all covered as it formed. That's a really nice piece. But going back to, you know, again, to the history, it goes, you know, from the mines and the best. These crystals are often carefully extracted by hand to preserve their natural shape that you're seeing as I'm unboxing these. Then they're cleaned. You know, they are dirty when they come out of the host rock. Sometimes they're polished, and, you know, again, they get sold all over the world. Some to collectors, others to just random shops. That's a really nice piece there. Even jewelers make stuff out of pyrites. That's a really nice piece there with galena octahedral as well. So not only do you have the pyrite, but you have the galena and the octahedral. Let's jump into some of the environmental impacts of mining. Even though, you know, they've been mining since the early Incas, let's jump into some of the environmental compacts of it. You know, mining is not only a key part of the Peru's economy, but like all mining operations, it has, you know, environmental impacts. Companies today are under, you know, more pressure to operate sustainable. You know, you get your ecosystems that are affected typically by water sources, stuff downstream from mines. You know, if they're not following good practices and operating sustainable, you know, you want to try to minimize your water contamination as much as possible. You know, cutting down forests, so reducing deforestation, you know, into these regions that are maybe in a, you know, you think of Inca, you know, if it's in a rainforest area or if it's up in the mountains, you know, you want to watch that. And then you got to think about your local communities and the indigenous people that still live up in these regions. How is it impacting their daily lives? Hopefully they're not used as slaves in these mines, but are, you know, hopefully making a decent wage for a day in their area to pull these types of specimens out. This has some really cool colors. You can see, again, that piece right there on that edge why that could be mistaken for gold, just that natural hue coming off of there. So again, yeah, the mining ethical sourcing, that's one thing that we want to check up on. You know, we want to make sure that talking to these miners, there's not child labor going on to extract these minerals. So this mine is family owned. They are using people from the surrounding villages to work in the mines, and they are getting paid a decent wage. This one is not going to be just your standard typical one that would be purchased. This is going to be, you know, from just, you know, a kid walking up to a booth or something. This is going to be a mineral collection specimen right here. Probably right around, just to give you an estimate, maybe about the $100 range, just because this one is unique from a mineral specimen standpoint. Yes, it's got the host rock, but it's kind of, you got your spherical, almost into or cubical into octahedral type formations, and you've got these smaller growths going on there. So that's a really nice specimen. Make sure that you know, going back to the miners ethical sourcing, that miners are paid fairly for their work in safe conditions. You want to make sure, like you've heard around the world, that, you know, people getting trapped in mines because they're not being safe and they're not following, like here we have MSHA and OSHA guidelines to follow just to keep our miners safe down underground. You want to make sure that people are safe all around the world pulling these minerals out. Here's another one real quick, just as I'm, you know, looking at this. This is a nice little piece of galena from the Sweet, actually I thought it was a Sweetwater water mine in Missouri. This is out of the Castile mine in Missouri. But you notice that, you know, it's got some nice cubics in the galena, but they're not as shiny. You know, you look at this stuff here, they're super shiny. So it's just interesting, you know, different mines from where you pull stuff out of. It's interesting how it all kind of comes up differently from different mines. Really, again, let's just kind of go back to, you know, again, pyrite. Hopefully this video gives you a little bit more context into the history in the Peruvian pyrites, and maybe the next time you see a pyrite, you can maybe inquire, you know, where did it come from? Was it part of Peru's ancient past? It's not just fool's gold, right? It's a window. It is a window into Peru's past, their ancient history. That's a really nice cubicle right there. Really nice piece there. Like that. You know, and then you talk to people, right? Other people are selling it. It'll be interesting. You ever get in front of somebody and you can say, hey, did you know? And you can pop up some questions like, the Wanzala mine produces quartz, galena, and sphalerite. That's actually what I think this is right here. Is those little growths all over this piece is actually sphalerite, is what I believe that is. So again, you've got three clusters there. You got your quartz, your galena, and your sphalerite on that piece. There's another really nice piece, nice cubic. Just got a couple more, guys. Thanks for sticking around. If you're still here, if you're here and you haven't already, hit that like button, help me out a little bit. Share this on your mineral groups and mineral forums that you're on. Hopefully it's a good educational piece for people that are interested in different minerals, specifically pyrites. Nice and shiny. That's a really nice piece too. All right, let's just get to these last couple. I'll save this one for last because this one's a little bit heavier. Likely going to be a big one. As I'm talking through, let's go real quick to a map of Peru. This is Peru. Give you an idea of some of the mineral regions of Peru. Another little fun fact about pyrites is it was once used in early man to start fires because pyrite does create a spark. It's a nice specimen there. All right, let's get to this big one here. So again, let me know if you're interested in any of those. We can work out a price that fits your need, fits your collection. And here's the last one right here again. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Oh wow, that is amazing. Look at that giant blade. Just to give you an idea, like how big is that in context to the hand, right? So that blade is just about 2 inches long. Nice, you know, just a, what, a 3/8 inch and 3/8 right there. Really nice piece there. You could just imagine this sitting in your collection, couldn't you? And now you know the backstory, you know the history, Peruvian pyrite. Awesome, awesome specimens. So again, if anybody's interested in any of these pieces, please let me know. That's my quick unboxing video for these pieces. I've got about 3 more boxes, guys. Again, they're going to be I got 1 more box for this size material here, and then I've got a lot smaller pieces to fit every budget, guys. So if you're interested, hit me up, let me know. You guys have a great one. I will catch you on the next one. Billy AZ Prospector out.